Speaking of teams that
need a resurgence.
Well, after this weekend, I guess we're going to say the Michigan Wolverine hockey team needs just that. After winning the previous 6 games.
Yeah, let's not make too much of this, though.
They split with Bowling Green. Bowling Green, Danny. And plus, listen to this. They were shut out at home Friday night, 3-0 against Bowling Green.
Well, look, okay, they ran into a goaltender who was playing out of his mind. Jimmy Spratt is his name.
Jimmy Spratt.
Okay, he hasn't had great stats on the year, and the set of overtime was wondering if the poor stats were a result of him being a poor goalie or if he was just a good goalie on a very poor team. And you look at the fact that this guy's been drafted by the Flames. He's an NHL prospect. It's probably the case of a good goalie being on a bad team. He saved 67 to 68 shots. He literally had 1 weekend where he was standing on his head.
Yeah.
I mean, 29 shots in Game 1, he saved all of them. 39 in Game 2. He should have gotten 2 wins. Obviously,
it was a questionable call in that
1-0.
first game. Scooter Vaughn there, the 5-minute major that got him out of the game in the third period. They wound up getting another power play goal there, made it 2-0.
2-0, and then obviously 3-0 being the final.
So tough call there.
And can't fault Hogan. Nice to see Sauer back.
They got a shutout. Very nice on the road. But, Michigan, I mean, they need to toughen. They need to not toughen up. They need to tighten up here because coming down the stretch, they got huge games. Right now, they're sitting in the 6th spot in the CCHA, Danny. They're behind, they got a big series with Notre Dame coming up in a couple weeks. And they got Nebraska Omaha, who right now is ahead of them in the standings. Also, they got to go 2 on the road against Ohio State, who's also ahead of them in the standings right now. So, Michigan's, every single year, at least since we've been here, they've always been at the top of the CCHA. This year, they're struggling a little bit. But, hopefully they will. You want to be in that top 4 seeds for the CCHA tournament, so you have a better chance of winning it there.
Just unlucky that their, great hockey came against teams outside of the CCHA. But
Michigan State this weekend, always a big series, even though State is really struggling this year.
State is struggling indeed. Also struggling right now, Chris, is the Michigan basketball team. This is a team that you and I talked about is kind of turning that corner on last week's show, and they go out and struggle. 2 losses in conference, one of them to Illinois, the other one to Ohio State.
Yeah.
Are we looking at another NIT season here?
It might be. There's still some time. They got some time to work some things out here. But I think it just shows that they can't play. They're not there just quite yet. I mean, Big Ten, you don't really know what quite to expect in the standings this year. But you got surprises like Minnesota and even Illinois, a team that Michigan beat, 10 days ago, and then they wind up losing on the road. So it shows they don't have that maturity there. Plus, I mean, I think the Ohio State game just showed, the good and bad of Beeline's system. Because if those shots go in, sure, you're great. You can beat 2 number 4 seeded teams like Duke and UCLA, but if they don't go in, you can't play very well at all, and you lose to Ohio State.
32% from the field against Illinois, 36% from the field against Ohio State. It's not going to get it done. And this is a team that I think personally thrives on the fact that they have 3 studs. You have Manny Harris, you have Deshaun
Don't call
Sims.
Perry a stud. Come on.
He's a scorer.
He's a scorer. Doesn't mean he can play a lick of defense, which doesn't make him a basketball player.
Can we call him 3 guys who can produce off? I mean, is that
you
better?
You can call him whatever you want.
3 guys who contribute to the offensive production. Sims didn't really show up this weekend, and neither did Lucas Perry. Manny Harris had 20 points in both games, but he alone is not going to get it done. We learned that last year.
Yeah.
Everyone needs to contribute. Novak has to hit his shots when he's coming in. Sue Douglas, nice game against Ohio State, but he needs to get it done.
They need to win the games they're supposed to win, like Penn State on Tuesday and Northwestern on Saturday. Yeah. Take care of business. We'll worry about the tournament when March comes around. Last topic in the hot topics today, Danny, about the Detroit Pistons, talking a little basketball professional ranks. They lost 5 in a row last week, and then they did win on Monday, Martin Luther King Day. Rip Hamilton returned last week, but the team not looking so great, only 23-17 and 8.5 back at the Cavs in that division.
The thing that was worrisome about this losing streak is, there was a game against Portland in there and a game against Utah, but the other 3 games,
Oklahoma City, Indiana, and Charlotte.
15-win Charlotte, 15-win Indiana, and now 8-win Oklahoma City. These are not world beaters. Yeah. These are not NBA, elite teams here. Granted, it's still, what are we in? We're in January right now. So we'll see how things play out. This is a veteran team that, for the first time, really has a young guy who can contribute in Rodney Stuckey. Yeah. And I think his emergence is going to have to kind of be, counterbalanced by how much, guys like Rip, guys like Cichon, guys like Rasheed are willing to let him take on that role as a leader on this team. Because I think it's clear that he's the future of the Pistons right now, and that we're going to see an extreme, makeover coming pretty soon.
His emergence has really put them in quite a quandary because now you got 2 shooting guards in AI and Rip Hamilton. Which one do you play? Right now they got Rip coming off the bench, but if you try to play both of them, it creates defensive mismatches. And if you try to sit one on the bench, the other guy's gonna be unhappy. So it's really hard to do. I think they just need to go out and get another big man because Max Seal, Amir Johnson, Kwame Brown, those guys aren't helping out off the bench.
Who do you get?
I don't know you get. Joe Dumars will figure it out. He's a smart guy. We'll leave it to him. We're going to take a commercial break. Danny Sass, Chris Cichon, we are rolling. Main event talking a little bit about the Super Bowl coming up right after this break.